If you've been following the housing market, you've certainly noticed a recent surge in housing prices. As of March 2024, homes in Atlanta were selling at a median price of $414,000. Much of this increase is not due to market forces, but because of a complex system of regulatory factors that increase costs. Let's examine a few key areas in which housing regulation is driving up prices. Number 1. Architectural and development requirements. Local governments in Georgia and across the country often impose detailed requirements that mandate the use of certain materials and aesthetic features. This includes energy-efficient upgrades, which the Biden administration is actively pushing to increase. Number 2. Inclusionary zoning policies. These policies require developers to include a certain percentage of affordable housing units within new residential developments. While these policies are motivated by a concern about housing affordability, they can have a reverse effect due to increased development costs for builders. Number 3. Impact fees. These are fees imposed on developers to help cover the costs of the increased need for public services and infrastructure resulting from the new development. These include things like roads and parks. However, these fees vary widely across different jurisdictions. Number 4. Lot and home size requirements. These requirements dictate the amount of land and the size of a home allowed within certain zoning districts. Some regions in Georgia impose minimum lot and home size requirements that far exceed what many homeowners and builders would otherwise choose. This excludes potential new homes from being built, limiting the overall housing supply. Number 5. Zoning and land use regulations. These regulations define how property in specific areas can be used. They restrict the types and quantities of housing that can be built in certain areas. These regulations also disproportionately affect minorities and lower and middle income residents. 6. Building code changes and permitting fees. These regulations govern the design, construction, alteration, and maintenance of buildings. They aim to ensure buildings are structurally sound, yet frequent and often unnecessary changes to these building codes and the complex permit process required in Georgia add uncertainty and expense to housing projects. 7. Administrative and compliance costs. The bureaucratic process involved in complying with regulations can be lengthy and costly. Developers often face delays that accrue additional costs. The administrative burden of ensuring compliance with local, state, and federal regulations can require significant manpower and legal expertise, further increasing the overall cost of development. All of these regulations put together significantly increase the cost of housing in Georgia. To address this, policymakers need to consider real-world effects of these policies and work towards deregulation that can reduce unnecessary costs.